Hello and welcome to the Gonzalez Mitchell Show. I'm Clay Mitchell.
And I'm Patrick Gonzalez.
And today, Patrick and I continue our Maryland Power Women series. This is part two. Our special guest today is Kelly Schulz. Kelly has been a businesswoman. She served in the Maryland House of Delegates and under the Hogan administration from 2015 to 2022, she was Secretary of Labor, then Secretary of Commerce. Subsequent to that, she was a Republican candidate for governor, and now she's the CEO of the Maryland Tech Council. Kelly, welcome to the Gonzalez Mitchell Show.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to be here. Thank you, gentlemen, for having me.
That's
Well,
awesome.
thank you.
Now, the Maryland Tech Council, for those who don't know, tell us what the council does and what it's all about and what your role there is.
Sure. So I am very, very honored to be the CEO of an organization that has been in Maryland for 40 years. We just celebrated our 40th birthday. And our mission is to be able to create and expand and support the ecosystem of businesses and industries within life sciences and technology. So breaking down those sectors, it's biomanufacturing, it's biotech, it's everything life science, but it's also cyber, digital, software development, energy tech, ag tech, and all of those other innovative areas like data centers that we can help to support through networking opportunities, advocacy, and anything else that we can do to support them.
You had something recently called, and I saw it on LinkedIn, I believe, about the BioHub. Can you tell us about
Yeah,
that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, Clay, you'll know this going back to the Department of Labor days, right?
Right, right.
Workforce development is such an integral part of any industry and their growth and expansion and retention. So, we like to say that in order to be able to help to create economic viability, we have to create a workforce in order to be able to sustain that industry. So, we were very excited that last Thursday we opened up and did our ribbon cutting for our BioHub Maryland. It's a technology and training education center at Montgomery County. And it's an opportunity for entry level individuals with maybe just a high school diploma are able to come in and get skills training and then immediately go to work in the industry that supports that type of training. So we have wonderful partners at the federal, state, and local level. And we're really excited about kind of building a whole new talent force for an industry that we want to continue to grow and increase Maryland's economic viability.
I think it's important when you say you can get into these areas with just a high school education. I remember going back to our Department of Labor days when the apprenticeship program first started to really take off. What other opportunities does your council offer that can assist young people with getting into these technological industries that may not want to go to college?
Yeah, and that is so true. And we were able to, put state dollars in, which I think is really important to know that most states at that point in time 10 years ago, we're not putting state revenue into workforce training, workforce skills training. But Maryland was one of the first. And we have a really great program now that's very substantiated and it's being copied all across the country. And it's in areas like cybersecurity. We have cyber ranges that are now being set up at all of the community colleges from a program that we started right at the Department of Labor about 10 years ago. And that's really exciting to think those are our members, that they're utilizing that type of a workforce to expand them in every industry, right? Every industry that you can imagine needs cybersecurity specialists. And so we're in a position at the Tech Council to be able to partner with all of those organizations to listen to what our members need and connect them with the types of programs that are going to be beneficial to them.
I know you work closely with her, and I got to give a shout out to Erin Ross over at the
Oh,
Department of
yeah.
Labor. She's just fabulous. She's really taken that apprenticeship program and taken it to the next level. And I know that you've worked closely with her on a lot of different programs.
Oh, I remember Erin Wen before she was an assistant secretary, right? She's just a very talented young woman.
Yeah.
Everybody over at the Department of Labor right now is doing amazing work. And we talk about apprenticeships. It's important for your audience to know that we want to be able to continue to boost the idea of apprenticeships in the trades, but also to adopt those same principles of earning and learning in non-traditional apprenticeship roles like cybersecurity, like biotech, right? Like finance and some of these other areas in which we can put students that are learning real valuable skills and embed them in an organization, in an industry where they're getting the wages that they deserve while they're learning and getting their skill development. So it's really exciting. Maryland is on the forefront of that, and it's really proud to be a part of.
Patrick, are you biting at the bit to ask a question?
Well, I don't know if I'm champing at the bit. That's going to go start me thinking about horse racing, and I don't want to do that. But what excites me, Kelly, is the thought of providing a lot of opportunity for people, giving them an option other than going to a 4-year college. The cost, the superfluous activities often associated these days with a 4-year college, and a focus on the exact skills that they will be doing with their job, and as you just mentioned, getting paid while they're learning, I think is excellent. That kind of juices me. I like thinking that it's taking a problem and solving it. It's not taking a problem, constructing a committee, sitting around for 3 years talking about it, and then it just sort of dies on the vine. I
You
like
know, I would say that there's a lot of parents and there's a lot of, I would say kids, but I mean it in a very loving way, right? That are looking at things, what they do when they're 18 years old and what their return on the investment is going to be for a possible immediate 4-year stint in a public or a public or a private institution to get a degree. And I didn't graduate with my undergraduate degree until I was 36 years old, right? But I was still able to do a whole bunch of things, a lot of things that I did not need a degree for. Now, I ended up as an adult going back for very specific reasons. But I think that the question is not whether you go to a 4-year university or not, because you don't want to, because there's not a return on the investment. It's about providing yourself with lifelong opportunities to continue to learn. If you want to develop those immediate skills when you're young to go immediately into the workforce, then you have options as you get older to go into, something else if it's higher academia to continue that lifelong learning process, which I support.
There's
that's great.
opportunities for, when I say younger people, college age people. You and I were involved with that Hop Start program up at Johns Hopkins University, but you also were involved. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, was it last night, the pitch and pour, where people come in and pitch their ideas? I thought that was great.
Yeah. So the pitch and pour idea is so super fun because you have the startup community that wants to be able to talk to the investment community. And a way to get them to talk to the investment community is to pour them a cocktail as they come and talk to you. So last night we were at the Towson University Startup organization. It's a great facility. It's in the old National Guard Armory up there. And we had 19 startup companies that were able to pitch to an entire room full of people about investment opportunities, purchasing opportunities. But entrepreneurs is so vital to economic growth and business expansion that's part of what we do at the Tech Council, is to make sure that we can introduce them to the bigger companies, the bigger investors, maybe in state and out of state.
And once they make those connections, you have them forever, and that you never
Anything's
know where things
possible.
are going to lead. And to me, this is me, and I've changed my mind over the years about. I think college is important, but I've changed my mind about how important that is really to go out there and be a success at what you do. The whole technological revolution that happened maybe 20, 25 years ago has gotten to the point where now we have this AI revolution,
Mm.
and AI can assist people with doing all kinds of different things that you don't really need the college background for. And as you were saying, they can build expertise in certain areas. And if you get into these apprenticeship programs, I think when an employer, say Microsoft or or Amazon or one of these data center companies looks for talent, they don't necessarily look at Yale and Harvard. They want to see someone that has a track record and has experience with technology. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I was just just as a disclaimer, I sit on advisory boards for higher education, right? So, I'm not saying it's not a great path, but it's not the path for everyone, right? And our
Right, right,
conversation at the universities at Shady Grove today was how do we immediately respond to the industry's needs in changing technologies and the way that skills need to be developed. And some institutions are easily adaptable to teaching new skills, and some are not, right? When you're in a big university system, it's very difficult to switch on the dime to create new curriculum to satisfy one industry's need. But you have smaller training programs, or even the community college level, or somebody that is already doing work in that field that can more easily create a better path for skills for an ever-changing world. And I think that's where you fit in when you think about the whole ecosystem of workforce and training and education. There's gaps that have to be filled at every level, right? You're not going to become a PhD and by going through skills training, right? You're going to be a PhD and you're going to be a lead scientist by going through, many, many years of higher
right,
education. And
right.
that's great. And we need those too, but we don't need all of those, right? There's plenty of room throughout the ecosystem in those industries to be able to satisfy lots of different people and with great livings and great paychecks.
Now, being from the Eastern Shore and in a rural area, I always mess up saying rural for some reason. And I know that you're from Frederick County out in Western Maryland. What are the opportunities for Western Maryland, Southern Maryland, Eastern Shore in the tech industry? Do you see any movement towards placing tech companies in these areas where maybe the startup costs and the land costs could be lower?
Yeah, yes. One thing that you realize about some types of industry, and I'll just use the biomanufacturing as an example. They tend to cluster around each other because it's easier, right? I mean, they're not afraid of the competition. That actually helps to bring additional talent in and all of that. What I see on the Eastern Shore, Western Maryland specifically, are opportunities in very specific types of new innovations in agriculture technology, clean energy tech. There's a lot of cyber that's happening out in Western Maryland specifically. They have an event that they hold every year at Rocky Gap that's called Tech at the Gap. They just had it in October, and they fill the room with 250, 300 people every year, right?
Wow.
There's a
Wow.
there's a lot of interest in that. And I think we specifically saw that, during, the pandemic and COVID and, people spreading out across different areas and being able to work. And it really highlighted where they can be. And the Maryland Tech Council actually has an initiative to bring more networking opportunities to the Eastern Shore and to Western Maryland. And we may be announcing some grant funding from the federal government pretty soon to talk about how we can do that and create more networking event opportunities to connect them in the rural parts of the state, because there's really important things that are happening there and a lot of entrepreneurs that could use the support of the rest of the state.
When you talk about ag tech, could you expand upon what that means and the types of training and skills it takes to get into those fields?
Yeah, so there's a bunch of really great programs. Some of them at the university level. University of Maryland Eastern Shore has some great programs, and the environmental science programs at the system specifically. But so think about ag tech, like the brand new salmon farm that's opening up in Cecil County.
Right.
That is going to be a multi-million-dollar project in a part of the state that's looking for additional types of revenues, right? And they're going to have to train a type of a workforce in order to be up there. The food sustainability question is very big, and the Eastern Shore is, pardon the expression, ripe to be able to be a part of that conversation. And I think that there's many, many more opportunities. I'll also say several months ago, I visited a farm in Washington County, and these were farmers like we wouldn't recognize, farmers. They had to go through the FAA. They had to get their pilot's license. They're flying drones in order to be able to calculate how they're seeding through the drone, and they're overseeding in areas in farm fields where they have things growing where they're not. They're no longer using diesel fuel, and they're big giant spreaders. And it's just amazing to see the amount of technology that they have had to get in order to be able to stay cost effective, I would say, right? And when new technology comes, you have to look at how that's going to increase your bottom line, especially if you're a farmer and the prices continue to increase. And I think Maryland is in a good position to be able to support those industries.
I was amazed. The farmers that lease the farm that my brother and I have showed us the equipment that they have on their tractors and field equipment, and it is out of this world. Where 5 years ago they didn't have it, and as you say, they have to apply agrochemicals to the fields. It knows exactly what the soil is, how much to put down, and it takes some know-how to know how to do that type of thing. And I can foresee uh, people that need to be trained on how to repair the equipment, how to install the equipment, how to convert older equipment into uh, these newer types of agricultural machines. And it's just a new world to me. And I could see how technology can help make land more productive and less polluting to the
You know,
Chesapeake.
exactly. And not only, I mean, obviously there's the environmental, part of this whole thing, but
Sure.
also think about the cyber aspect of it. Think about us protecting our food supply, our water supply, and what we have to have as far as cybersecurity in the agricultural world. And, I've worked with the Farm Bureau a couple of different times, trying to get farmers to pay attention to what that looks like on their individual farm, but also as the big picture. And, really important topics that technology always has a hand in. And we're happy to be able to support that.
What other aspects, training wise or education wise, or other groups do you collaborate with the Maryland Tech Council to help younger people get into these types of fields? You mentioned higher education. Are there specific programs in the universities that you're involved with?
Yeah, there's definitely that. Like I said, I sit on some advisory boards. I'll just talk one in particular. I mentioned USG, but also the UMBC Training Center. That's a wonderful. It's a little separate from the UMBC campus, but it's really important because they do more of that skilled training, especially in the technical fields like cybersecurity. And actually, that training center offered the very first cybersecurity apprenticeship program in the country, which we were really proud of several years ago when they announced that. And that's a feeder into Fort Meade and what they do there. But we have so many connections. I would say we have specific connections with some high schools where those students have reached out to us specifically to ask us if we would loan some of our board members and our scientists and those that have great amounts of experience to come and talk to their classrooms. Some of these high school students are brilliant and they want to organize the world. So sometimes we just follow their lead. But our partnerships are everything from the large, university system, private colleges, community colleges. We do a lot with. I would say particularly in Anne Arundel County, their community college, which is great, by the way. We have a wonderful community college system.
Sure.
We do a lot with them to help to support, work fairs, job fairs, being able to introduce different types of topics to the students.
That's interesting. If a high school wanted to reach out to you uh, to talk about having someone come in and do a little program or consult with some students, what would they need to do to reach out to you? I know that you have email and phone, but is there a form they need to fill out or anything like that?
It is so easy. I mean, just reach out to Kelly at mdtechcouncil.com, right? So and we love to do that because we have 814 industry partners, which makes up about 160,000 employees in the state, right? So once an industry partner is a member, then all of their employees are members. And they are so like ingrained into the ecosystem. Number one, they want to be a part of the ecosystem because they're members of ours, but also they understand that their future is in the young people that want to get into that future. So all of our board members routinely volunteer to go out and speak to groups. And so we welcome making those connections anytime. It can be so easy.
That's awesome. Now
That is awesome.
I'm working on a program to help replace political pollsters. No, I'm sorry, Patrick. That was my secret. Sorry.
Well, I'll be honest with you. Father Time is going to take care of replacing pollsters, at least this one eventually.
Well, Kelly, Madam Secretary, we appreciate you joining us today. We want to have you back on maybe after the first of the year when session's going on to see what kind of legislation or programs are developing and keep us up to date as to what's going on. And if you have some earth-shattering news, give me a call. We'll put you right back on.
You'll be the first
Thank
to
you,
know.
Kelly.
Happy to
Awesome.
come back.
Thank you, Kelly.
Awesome. Well, Kelly, this is the end of the show. It's time now to say goodbye, Patrick.
Goodbye, Patrick.
Goodbye, Patrick.
Kelly, thank you so much.
Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you.